creative side of ads and, what works and what doesn't. So let's go ahead and welcome Chloe up to the stage.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for Nonprofit Ad Day. I'm so excited to dive into some creative best practices, address any questions you may have to really help your ads stand out on Facebook and Instagram. If you were in the last session, today is going to be all about creative, so feel free to throw any of those questions in the chat. So before we jump in, I am here with the Community Boost team. If you are unfamiliar with Community Boost, we exist to empower social ventures changing the world, just like all of you. We have supported over 400 nonprofits directly and supported over 40 million in donation revenue. So today we're really hoping to share some of our knowledge that we have gained through working with our amazing partners to help your organization unlock the door to success on paid social and really digital marketing as a whole. So first, to quickly introduce myself here, my name is Chloe O'Rourke. I'm a digital specialist on the Community Boost team, specializing in paid social campaigns on Facebook and Instagram. I have been able to work with many of our nonprofit partners personally, now my nearly 2 years of experience at Community Boost, and I'm really excited to be able to share some of my experience with all of you here today. So first, I would love to know what your biggest challenge is when it comes to creating your Facebook ads. I'll give everyone a second to put answers in. Hopefully we can cover that. I'll second you're in chat over some of these common challenges during our session today. We are going to leave some time for Q&A. So if it isn't addressed in the session today, hopefully we can get to them at the end. Every organization is completely different, and so I know that Facebook can be a difficult beast to tackle, but I see some engaging content, unique and engaging content, leadership buy-in. Awesome. I'll give everyone a couple more seconds. Creating a funnel that converts, getting rejected ads, inspiring content. Awesome. Okay. Well, hopefully throughout our session today, I will be taking a look in the chat, and we will definitely be able to go through a lot of these in our Q&A session. On the agenda today, we will be covering Facebook ads basics, the anatomy of an ad, Community Boost creative best practices, and a Q&A where we can go over any ads questions that you may have. So before we get too into the details here, let's first get on the same page of what exactly we're talking about here. I know many of you may be in our last session, but just to recap of what Facebook ads actually are. So what are Facebook ads? Facebook ads are sponsored content set up through Facebook Ads Manager. These are completely separate from boosted posts. And although organic posts can be used in campaigns, ads are mainly constructed either in Ads Manager or Creative Hub, which is a Facebook mockup feature. And oftentimes this serves as the backbone of your paid social efforts. Facebook and Instagram ads are arguably the most scalable platform in the world for nonprofits. And many of our partners see success with campaigns for a huge variety of campaign goals, from donations to ticket sales to new initiative awareness, and really a lot more. We know that our audiences are living on social media. So taking advantage of this amazing platform can really help your organization increase ROI, and expand the amazing work that you're already doing. When getting started or scaling your paid social efforts, Facebook ads and creative are the backbone of your campaign. And I may be slightly biased, but I believe that creative is the most important part when it comes to the success of your campaigns. We can be reaching the most perfect audiences, but if the creative isn't good, then they're probably not going to convert. So in addition to the scalability and access to our audiences that Facebook ads really have, the options are endless. I do know if you're in the session today, odds are you've heard of Facebook ads before. So I'll keep our advantages brief here. But what we do know is that Facebook and Instagram give us unparalleled access to our communities, and we're able to deliver our message to them wherever they are and meet them where they're at. If we're able to craft our message effectively and get it in front of the right individuals, our impact can exponentially grow and allow us to continue to create social impact changing the world. I know it was mentioned in the chat earlier that getting buy-in can be difficult when starting a new platform, but hopefully some of these tips today can help you take this back into your organizations and put some of these best practices into practice. We know that there are a lot of moving parts to know when it comes to campaign creation. from audience targeting to what campaign objective to choose, budget pacing, and a lot more. But today we'll be really focusing on creative in that ad specifically, and crafting really great ads that are sure to get your audience's attention. So if you are interested in learning how to build audiences, strategize for your next campaign, or just looking for more information, you can book a free Facebook ad report card. You'll have the opportunity to talk with our team of experts about your approach. We can review your ads and really develop the right approach to Facebook advertising for your nonprofit. You can sign up by scanning this QR code, but don't worry, the slide will be back up at the end of the session, so don't worry if you missed the code the first time, but we can keep moving right along here. Awesome. So before we get into our best practices here, let's take a look at the anatomy of an ad to make sure we're all on the same page. So there are several customizable aspects of creating your Facebook ad that really work in harmony to deliver your message as effectively as possible. So starting here at the top, we have our main copy or our primary text. This carries the bulk of your written messaging and can really pack a punch when it's crafted correctly. And this is where we're going to be telling our story, introducing ourselves and our organization to those who may not be aware of our work. We'll be reconnecting with donors, encouraging them to give again, and much more. The main copy here, although it's not the most eye-catching, it helps to drive your story home and tells our audience what we want them to do and why it's important. So moving down the list here, we see our ad creative. And this is community boost terms for the image or video that make up the visual part of your ad. So this is the first thing that users will notice, as it is the most eye-catching, and it's a crucial part to delivering your message in a way that resonates. So think about when you personally are scrolling on social media. Based on Facebook's impact statistics, I think it's safe to say that many of us have used these social platforms and have come across ads in our own feeds. And what's the most compelling part of an ad that may make you want to pause and take a look at what they have to say? I know for me, it's a strong image or a video that really encourages engagement and tells the story of the organization, promoting themselves, and above all, is visually appealing to stand out in a feed. All Facebook ads are native, which means that they show up on users' feeds and can even look like an organic post to the untrained eye. So the ability of these to be very visually appealing is important. So although the image or video in your ad is the first thing that users will see, also incredibly important is this headline down here at the bottom. So this headline is the string of bold text you see on that slide here, and we find that this is the second most defining factor in the success of your ad. This provides a really great opportunity to use a text call to action. You can use emojis and really capture users' attention once their attention wanders from the image. Here's where we can drive home what we want our audiences to do. Do you want them to visit your site? Tell them that. Do you want them to learn more about your initiatives, start a fundraiser? Use that as your headline, and lay it out in a very clear way where this ad will take them. The headline should be in alignment with whatever landing page or alternative destination your audience will be directed to when they do choose to click on the ad. So communicating effectively in a few short characters can be really crucial to your overall results. So next to the headline over here in this box on the right bottom corner is the call to action button. This is where users will click to either go to your site, start a fundraiser, follow your page, and much more depending on your campaign goals. There are different calls to action options depending on your goals, but we find overall that learn more tends to work the best in the majority of campaigns. Awesome. So we know that every campaign and organization is different, and there's no way to know which copy and creative iteration will perform the best off the bat. If I had $1 for every ad that I thought was absolutely the one, I would be a very rich person. So this is why we always suggest that you should be testing multiple ads, A/B testing in every single set in your campaign. But what we can do is dive into some community boost best practices. That's a tongue twister when it comes to creative. And this can really help take your next campaigns to the next level. So first, what we suggest is keeping the copy short and sweet. Facebook ad copy cuts off after the third line of text, adding a see more option to really reveal the rest of your main text. And what we find is that these just don't perform as well. The working theory is that adding extra steps within your ad can be a barrier for colder audiences like interests and lookalikes who may just scroll past if they're not met with strong calls to action in a really concise way. Users are on Facebook and Instagram to unwind, to connect with their friends, discover new content, and oftentimes will not take the time to read an ad that is several paragraphs long. And that isn't to say that you can never test longer copy, but we find that in warmer remarketing or uploaded donor list audiences, users may be willing to spend a bit more time on your ad, but overall, keeping it short and concise is a great place to start. The second, as we mentioned before, a headline is the second element your audience is looking at when an ad hits their feed. So keeping headlines to one line and not overflowing onto a second really helps keep your ad looking clean and provides a great way to pack a punch in a few short characters. So this is a great area where you can add in emojis. You can really throw in some color to your ad to make it more visually appealing and draw your audience in. Headlines to me were the most tricky element to master when it comes to creating strong ads. But once you get the hang of it, they really can have a huge impact on the overall success of your campaigns. So next, when it comes to choosing the best creative, we find that video is still king. It's no secret that video has dominated in organic social, and ads are no exception. We do know that it can be hard, especially for smaller organizations, to have high quality video content. But Facebook does have the ability to create slideshows and short clips with existing imagery. So any of your best performing images can be turned into videos and showcase your message in a whole new way. We also suggest a strong alignment between your text call to action and your CTA button. And in simple terms, for a more complex concept, we want to be clear in what we're asking for from our audience. And we really want to make sure that the message is in alignment in all of the elements of your ad. Overall, we want to make it as easy as possible for our audiences to understand what we're asking for, whether that's learning more about new initiatives or making a donation. Finally, emojis and using bold text in your ads can make a world of difference and make your organization's voice more approachable. If you have a fun event, using fun emojis, showing your enthusiasm, using announcement emojis, you do not need to test emojis and bold text in every single ad, but trying them out in a few iterations is a great test to see how your audiences respond, and it can give you a more human voice even through ads. Awesome. So now we can take a look at 3 examples of these best practices in action for some of the partners we work with. So here we have 3 examples from 3 different types of campaigns. We have a conversion, which was driving donations, including a match during the holiday season, an awareness ad highlighting an impactful story to get new users to visit their sites, and then a lead generation campaign for newsletter signups using the organization's new mission. So as you can see, all 3 of these ads are using short copy, strong call to action, eye-catching images and videos, and align with the organization's mission to deliver these messages as efficiently as we can. So these are also employing urgency to encourage users to take action now, as well as individual stories to tell the story of impact and amazing work that this organization is already doing. To me, organizations just like yourselves are already doing the amazing work that is ad highlight worthy. But it's up to us as the individual creating the ads to tell that story effectively. There are users on these platforms who already love what you do. It's just a matter of finding them and delivering that message in a way that resonates. So no matter what your campaign objective is, using these tips and building on them during your optimization sessions can really help increase your overall return on ad spend, engage your audiences, and provide a really solid base to set your campaigns up for success. Awesome. So just to recap here before we jump into Q&A, strong ad creative serves as the face of your organization on paid social. And this may be the first touch point users ever have with your organization. So putting our best foot forward with clean ads that have strong CTAs, eye-catching creative, concise headlines, and simplistically delivering our message can set us up for success and increase our ROI across the board. So when using these best practices and creating your own ads, a great way to gauge the effectiveness of your ads is to put yourself in the shoes of your target audience. Really zoom out, take the place of your audience, and ask, does this ad appeal to you? So no one knows your organizations better than you do. So if it's a message that moves you and appeals to you in an effective way, it'll likely appeal to your audience who is ready to support you as well. I know for me, when I'm writing ads, writing them out, taking a couple hour break, and then zooming them out and previewing them as if I am coming across them on my feed is a really great way to gauge how they're going to resonate. Now, I do believe we have some time for Q&A. If you did miss the QR code the first time, now is your chance to get your camera out and scan to connect with our team and explore your biggest opportunities to drive revenue and growth with Facebook and Instagram ads for your nonprofit. So you can book your free Facebook ad report card. You'll have the opportunity to talk with our team of experts about your approach. We can review your ads and really just develop the right approach for Facebook advertising for your nonprofit that will work for you. We'll also be able to provide you with resources, more information about how Community Boost can help. I know that there's no way we can cover everything you need to know for Facebook ad creative in a quick 20 to 30-minute session. But if you do want to book some time with our team, that's a great place to start. So we'd also love to hear from you. Are you interested in exploring how Community Boost can help you scale revenue with Facebook and Instagram advertising? I will let my team on the back end here throw up our poll while we get ready for Q&A. Amazing. And if you do have any questions about Facebook and Instagram ad creative that you haven't quite gotten answered throughout our session, feel free to throw them in the chat. You can also use that upvote tool that is awesome on the Welcome platform to get any questions that are already up in our Q&A answered. Awesome. I do see one from Lisa here that she doesn't know where to start or if they're worthwhile for our agency. I know for me, the best place to start is just really doing a temperature check on how you're doing on organic social. You can see what's working, what's not working, and you can scale that into ads. While boosted posts are separate, they can be a good place to start to pull an existing, very successful organic post into a campaign. And really, I would just start building up some brand awareness. It does take a lot of time to get your audiences ready for a conversion campaign. So starting as early as possible to start building brand awareness is an awesome place to start. And I see Karen has joined me. Hi, Karen.
Hello. Cool. Looks like Amber also commented in the chat. She said figuring out the right budget per ad and identifying the best channel to take.
Mm-hmm.
So, like lead development versus storytelling versus donation ask and creating their audience.
Awesome.
I think that's
so I
one
think
of the
the first part of it
challenges.
was budget, right? So for us, we never really put a specific budget behind one ad. So we will always be running multiple iterations in one ad set. It's usually between 3 to 4 ads. It just depends on your overall budget. We like to start each ad set around $5 per day if you do have the budget to be able to start off that way. If not, you can run fewer ad sets. But in general, like I mentioned earlier, we never know exactly what's going to work. So we don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket when it comes to just choosing one ad that we believe is going to be the winner. And so really splitting that budget between multiple ads that you can test is an awesome place to start. And then was it about choosing a campaign objective, I believe? I know it's not super helpful, but Facebook is really not one size fits all, right? So every organization is different. It depends where your starting point is. But a great place to start is with a top funnel campaign. So that could be brand awareness. We like to use engagement a lot. And so that way you're really building your audience before you're asking them for anything. Because it's a lot easier to walk up to your friend and ask for $5 versus walking up to a complete stranger on the street and asking for $5, right? And so if we are able to introduce ourselves in a way that is appealing, that's a really great place to be able to ask them for donations later.
Awesome. And one of the questions in the Q&A section is from Allison. She asked, what are the best practices regarding text within an ad image?
I think it's always worth a shot. So it is really nice. I believe it was earlier this year. Facebook did get rid of I believe it was 40 or 50% text image rule. I could be wrong on the percentage. Don't quote me on that. But now there is no text and image rule. So I definitely think it's worth a shot. I mean, adding text in an image is just another way that you can work in a call to action. And it's just another place where we can concisely deliver our message in a creative way. Aside from just text within an image, Facebook does offer the ability to create it's almost like a spotlight image, and it creates a little video snippet, and you can weave your text in there as well, and so that way it has some movement. So if you are wanting to incorporate text, I would start with one of the slideshow templates that really showcases one solid image, and then rolls your text through, because that's a great way to retarget based on video views as well. Two birds with one stone.
Awesome. Let's see in the chat here. How do you balance making your creative and messaging fun if your nonprofit is tackling very serious and tough problems?
Yeah, that is definitely a difficult one. Um, what I like to say there is just always be true to your organization's voice, right? And so if you are tackling a very serious issue, it may not be the time to use 20 very happy emojis and really be like, we're having an amazing day, right?
Right.
And so I think a good rule here is really just to fall back on the voice of your organization. So you already know the work that you're doing, you know how amazing it is. And so it doesn't always have to be fun. Even though we are on social media, sometimes being a bit jarring or even using individual stories of impact are a really great way to tie people back to your mission. If you are wanting to be a bit more fun, if you do have any sort of success stories that you're able to highlight, if you do have any sort of events, um, if you do have any impact stats, say like your support helped us raise X amount of money. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with your mission, but in what things your organization has accomplished. So I know that is definitely a difficult balance, but really just falling back on your organization's overall mission.
Awesome. And so Catherine asked, she says, my ad manager often fails to show ad previews. Do you have any advice for troubleshooting that?
Oh no. Okay, so what I would suggest here, there are a couple different avenues you can take. So first, Facebook does offer something called the Creative Hub. Creative Hub, I know for me personally, has been the bane of my existence at times, but it is a very cool tool when it works correctly. So it is under your business settings, and it is a tool where you can create individual ad mockups. And so everyone that is in your business manager will have access to that Creative Hub. And so from there, you can directly import those ads into Ads Manager. So that way you would be able to go in and proof them before they even hit the ad account. So that could be a good way to troubleshoot. I know for me, my favorite way to create an ad deliverable is to do screenshots or preview links straight in the Google Doc, because sometimes Creative Hub can be a bit of a hit or miss. But yeah, usually Creative Hub or a Google Doc is an awesome place to start.
Awesome. And there's a question here from Marie. She asked, do you recommend boosting a post that is already performing well over creating a campaign?
So short answer, no. Long answer, there is a way that we can make this work. So in Ads Manager, there is an option to pull in an organic post into a campaign. So the reason that I don't recommend boosting posts is just because on the front end of Facebook, when you're outside of Ads Manager, you just don't really have the targeting capabilities like you do within Ads Manager. I don't believe you can run warm audiences, and the interest targeting is a little bit wonky. And so the best way that we have found is to identify your best performing posts. You can pull the ad ID from them, which is at the end of the URL when you're looking at the post, I believe. You can copy and paste that directly into Ads Manager, and that organic post now serves as your ad within a campaign. And so if you're operating that way, you get all the benefits of running a full scale campaign with the content that you already wanted.
Awesome. Okay. And we have a question that says, what is the most inclusive way to use emojis for systems like screen readers and other inclusive softwares?
Mm-hmm. So that is a question that we have been having recently. We have found a couple online tools. Right now, Facebook is not the greatest at inclusivity when it comes to emojis, just flat out. And so we have been using some external tools in order to combat this, but that's not something that we've even completely ironed out yet. So what we tend to do, I like to use emojis mainly in a headline, and I'll only really use one. Because if you throw a string of like 20 emojis in there, that can definitely throw off a screen reader. When we are using an external tool, even one we find just to resonate a bit better. You can also use different ad variations for each platform, and you can remove the emojis based on placements. But usually just throwing one emoji in at a time. That way it doesn't throw off everyone if your tools aren't working as well, I would say.
Gotcha. Okay, and can you talk a little bit more about best practices for video ads in terms of length? I know you talked about video is king, like video is really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean in terms of, best practices and video length?
So to me, it depends what you got. So sometimes a 5-second video may not perform as well as a 5-minute video, just depending on the quality of the creative, right? So what is awesome on Facebook is that any length of a video view over 3 seconds, we can go in and retarget that person. So overall, I like to say between 15 and 30 seconds is a great place to start if you are looking to create new video to go into a campaign. But if you do have like a 5-minute video that you just think is amazing, I would test it. You can cut it in different points. You can find that like 30-second to a minute slot. But again, every organization is different, and that's where really testing your creative comes in. So if you are running 3 or 4 ads in a set, you're able to test the length, and you can also in the insights breakdown see the average video view length of each ad. And so that's a good place to start, is really just testing to see how your creative is resonating.
Okay, and so Rachel had a question. She said, do you recommend making different creative specifically for Facebook and different creative for Instagram, or is it okay to use the same creative for both channels?
In an ideal world, I like to do different creative for each placement. But the thing about that is it doesn't have to be aggressively different. So the reason mainly between Facebook versus Instagram. So as we mentioned a little bit earlier, Facebook ad copy cuts off after 3 lines of text with that see more option. Instagram is maybe 6, 7 words if we're lucky before it hits that see more option. So what I like to do in varying for Instagram creative is really to front load the call to action. So say if you put the in-text call to action at the end of your Facebook ad, I would move that up to Instagram. So no matter what, that user is seeing the call to action, whether they open your ad or not. And so that's where I like to vary it when it comes to text. And the image sizes are a bit different. If you do only have square images, that can be okay. But definitely adding in some like vertical story creative can be awesome.
Fantastic. And so this might be a little bit of a follow-up question to one you just answered, but Grace wants to know what the difference between an ad and boosting a post is. Can you reiterate on that one more time?
Yeah, so I think the simple answer to a complex question, right, is that boosting a post happens on the front end of Facebook, like facebook.com, and then a campaign happens within Ads Manager. And so it's really the front end versus back end system if you're looking for which one you're actually looking at if you're just getting started. So Ads Manager you can only access through business settings, so business.facebook.com. And in general, boosting a post does not go within a campaign. You're only really targeting one set at a time with one piece of creative. Meanwhile, a full out Facebook campaign, you can have multiple audiences running within the same campaign, and you can use multiple creative iterations. So that's really the main difference, front end versus back end, and a little bit more complex. But in general, I find that campaigns, even if we are using the same creative, perform a lot better than boosted posts.
Got it. Okay, good to know. And we have a question about birthday fundraising ads. So, how do
Yeah.
you create the template for these birthday fundraising ads?
The template. So I believe that's on the front end of your page settings, I want to say. I know nothing that happens. I'm assuming we're talking about the template when someone actually clicks the link to make the fundraiser, correct? Um, Yeah, that's what we're gonna go
I
with.
think so.
So I'm pretty sure that is in your page settings. You can go in and customize what the start of a fundraiser will say. What is interesting about it too is no matter how good your template is, it can still be customized by the user, right? And so it is a great place to start, but a lot of times I find that people do make their own custom messaging as they're creating a fundraiser. But I personally love birthday campaigns because within Ads Manager, there is actually an option to go in and target people with an upcoming birthday. And so I believe it's a 7-day window. And so you can go in and target people with an upcoming birthday and drive them to fundraise for you on Facebook. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. And Nicole asks, she says, sometimes I find the ad sets are learning for too long, but I like to do ad sets depending on the audience, like
Mhm.
remarketing versus certain audiences versus geo targeting. Is that the correct way of setting up ad sets?
Yeah, short answer is yeah, it is. And so if you do have the budget to be testing multiple audiences, like testing socially engaged, so people who have engaged with you in any way on Facebook, versus your remarketing and your customer list, that is exactly what you want to be doing. And the main reason for this is because, say, if you're running a conversion campaign, if everyone is all in the same set, we can't tell what's actually working, right? And so through optimizations, if we're able to segment our data, we can tell who's performing, who's not. We can put more budget behind what's working and less behind what's not. So that's the short answer for why we do like to A/B test audiences and optimize that way. But when it comes to learning phases, that is the bane of my existence as well. So the learning phases oftentimes do depend on budget. And what's interesting about, I forget the exact number. I want to say it's 100, but I also think it depends on the ad set. So don't quote me on that. Facebook takes about 100 optimizations um, for your ad set to get out of the learning phase. So this doesn't mean a manual optimization like we do about once a week, which is editing your audiences, changing up ads. This is Facebook actually going in and making slight adjustments in the algorithm automatically. And so, quite frankly, it's not really something we can control. So a lot of time, if we are running with smaller budgets, we can be in learning or the dreading learning limited. But what we can do if it is in learning for a really, really long time, if you go in and make any sort of edit in your ad set, it does throw it back to the beginning, but it may get out of that learning stage. But yeah, that's a tough one.
Okay, and so someone wants to know, is adding Pixel to a page still worth it? Is this saying instead of Pixel, it would be a manual entry to help with tracking?
The thing instead of Pixel, manual entry to help with tracking. So I'm not sure on the manual entry, but the short and sweet answer, yes, Pixel is 1000% worth it. And almost, I don't want to say required, but for me, it is required if we are running Facebook and Instagram ads. And the reason for that is because the Facebook Pixel is the only code that we have found that communicates directly back with Ads Manager, right? So say if we're running off of Google Analytics, you can see the source, you can see what's happening, but what you cannot see on the back end of Facebook is which ad it's actually attributed to. We can't see which ad set it came from, and that's what the Pixel allows us to do. And so most of our tracking and most of our insights come from the Facebook Pixel. We do cross-reference it with the rest of the tracking that we have on site. But the Facebook Pixel, I think, is the most important tool to put on your site if you are running Facebook and Instagram ads.
Okay, and going off of that, do you have any advice for learning how to apply the Facebook Pixel correctly?
Yes. So it depends what your site is hosted on. And that is really kind of the magic ticket of if you're lucky or not, right? So some of these sites, I believe it's WordPress, a few of them have really great direct integrations. And so if you even just Google, say like wherever you're hosted at, like WordPress, Facebook Pixel install, sometimes you can just copy and paste that code that is in Events Manager directly into the back end of your site, and it'll start working automatically. So that's if we're incredibly lucky, right? But what if we are on one that is not automatically set up? The next most important tool to have on here, and I mean, I hate that I'm going to say it, probably the most important tool, is to have Google Tag Manager installed on your site. So Google Tag Manager will allow us to copy and paste that pixel directly if there is no existing integration. And setting a pixel through Google Tag Manager, it does take some practice, but it's a pretty straightforward process once you figure out how to do it. So definitely installing Google Tag Manager, and you can install the code manually from there.